And I'm standing in the sound design studio of Line 6 in Calabasas, California. I'm here to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Line 6 releasing the Helix to the world. Oh, hey Sam, hey Ben. Hey Ben. These guys are part of the sound design team and they have work to do. So let's get down the road because I want to show you something. So what we're about to see is just a small part of the Line 6 amp archives. A lot of these amps have been used to create amp models for Line 6 devices going back like 20 years. So many of my favorites, the Marshalls, the Park, the Hiwatt, the Orange. That Soldano is really special to me because I got one from Mike Soldano. I got a very early one. And Joe Bonamassa sent me the sheet that has me on it with some pretty great guitar players. I'm very grateful for that. I used that a lot and it was life-changing. Anyway, all the Fenders, as you can see, and especially this Fender Deluxe. It's a 65 Deluxe, one of the most iconic amps in history and a great recording amp. So I'm getting a signal that we're running a little late, so we've got to move. Kind of don't know what to expect. They've been so tight-lipped about this whole thing. Pretty exciting. I remember the days when I used to take my pod to sessions. A couple of presets on that actually sound pretty good still. Okay, here we go. 10th anniversary. Let's dive in. Welcome to the 10th anniversary of the Line 6 Helix.
I want to recognize a special group of content creators, of advocates, teachers, just overall product gurus. Please join me welcoming to the stage our Chief Product Design Architect, Mr. Eric Klein.
Stop it. I'm going to do really...
We are at Line 6 HQ.
Brian, nobody's paying attention because they see this behind us.
That's the Helix Stadium XL. So if you didn't know, Line 6 released not one, but two new flagship
But there's one more
hardware units.
Yes.
And in this video, we got an interview with Eric, the lead design architect for all things Line 6 coming up.
Yep.
And we're going to get to play it. We can't film playing it, but we'll give you our impressions after actually playing it.
You've trusted us with your tone for years. Continue that trust.
Yes.
As we tell you about our experience.
Yes.
Eric, hi.
Congratulations.
The man of the hour.
No, well,
That's the first
one
thing.
of many people.
So this is the Helix Stadium XL.
Make it look pretty with our little... Yeah, there we go. That's better.
Yeah, so first of all, we're super excited for Helix Stadium.
Thank you.
And
we are too. Yep.
We cannot wait. We've got some questions. We polled our friends and we polled Instagram, and we have a few questions.
Okay.
Well, 90% of the Instagram questions could have been solved by watching.
Yeah, of course. So first of all,
but that's okay.
There's a keynote that Eric did. That's going to be available to the live stream? Like we can go watch.
Yeah.
That
There's a
anytime.
12-minute long form video that's basically the keynote cut in half, sort of condensed, and then the whole keynote's going to be up either today or tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, so all that's linked below. Go watch because you'll learn everything there is to learn about Stadium at this point, but there's much more to come. So we've seen what the internet wants by reading like all the speculation. Touch screen, check. Capturing, check.
I finally got my touch screen.
You finally got a touch.
That's right. You were pushing for it in
screen on
Helix.
Helix?
I was a lowly UI designer at the time, so I had no pull. So we're going to make that mistake again.
How the turntables have turned.
All right.
but we just got to play it.
Yeah, we did. We just heard
that touch
it.
screen is, I mean, it's like
we got to
it's like
interact.
iPhone responsive. So
it's very good.
That's going to be huge for a lot of people. So.
That's part of the that's why we have a GPU in there. So
yeah, okay.
Oh wow, yeah, just to run that. So we had some questions about the capturing that. One of the questions. This was an interesting question. Is it gonna be? Will there? Because you mentioned it's cloud based, like the I don't know what you would call it. There's the capture, but then you have
cloud
to,
server based. Yep.
Yeah. Will there be a charge for that, or will it
No.
be free for
It'll be free.
anyone to use?
Yep.
Oh, there you go. We answered the question, Jonathan.
Yeah.
That was him.
Tone junkie Jonathan.
Tone junkie.
He was curious.
When we did Helix, we did
Yeah.
the rack version.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Right.
before the the smaller condensed version,
Yeah.
LT, and this time we're like, nope, screw it, we're going to do 2 flagships
Yes.
because
yeah.
so many people like give us one without the treadle, and we obviously heard that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we needed to have the comprehensive I/O that fits in a chassis. It won't fit in a chassis that's much smaller than this either.
Right.
So, and we had so many people like, no, you better not get rid of the treadle. So like,
Yeah.
all right, why not both?
Just have yes, why
exactly.
not both?
So
There we go. So Agoura is the new thing.
yes,
Is it safe to say that it's an obvious assumption that more and more amps will get added, and that's the goal, like to keep adding more, or what's kind of the plan with that?
100%. So
Okay.
the reason we only have 16 to start is because we really wanted to fine tune the methodology. So
Yeah.
we're just really focusing on these particular 16 to make sure, like, oh well, wait, that amp does that weird thing. So when we model this amp and this amp and this amp in the future, we know that we need to approach it in this way.
Oh yeah.
So the other trick that they didn't want me talking about, so you can call this a scoop, is the methodology that we've chosen is actually notably faster than our brute force method before. And
HX.
it still requires tearing apart amps,
Yeah.
still requires measuring things, but just the way we've approached it will allow us to kind of automate a lot of that functionality and a lot of the data capture too. And I don't mean like a robot mic or anything like that. I mean simply the set of tools allows us to sort of do the whole hardcore process of capturing all the individual pieces of an amp in a more efficient fashion.
Yeah. Well, when we just got out of the sound demo where we were able to play, and Sam had it set up so that like the deluxe reverb.
Yeah.
There was the Agoura deluxe reverb, and then you press a button and it switched to the HX deluxe reverb at roughly this. He dialed them in to sound the same, and the Agoura sounded like there was just more. Bradford described it as you're going from 1080 to 4K, like there's just so much. There's more there. The 1080 looks great, sounds great, sounds just like a really good deluxe, but it was just like there's more depth. There's more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was impressive.
The first time I had heard Agoura, I was at
Yeah.
my desk actually.
Okay.
And somebody brought up a JCM 800 and put
Yeah.
it down the hallway and started playing like that's loud. What's going on?
Yeah.
And immediately like, oh, that's a JCM 800. Why did somebody bring that up? And I walked down the hall and it's a computer running the first prototype of our
Oh,
JCM
wow.
Agoura. I'm like,
Whoa.
but I mean, immediately you're like, that's a JCM, 100%.
We also played the JCM
Yeah.
800.
Yeah.
And Doug played it. Our friend Doug Doppler.
Yeah, no, I didn't touch
I
that.
love Doug.
He's pretty good, and it was awesome.
He's all right.
He's all right.
Yeah.
If he could be like doubly fast, I'd be impressed.
He's so, but it sounded. Yes, it was like that's okay. That I know that sound. I've heard it a lot.
Yeah.
You know, on records, on albums.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, Norm and Glenn, Peter and Dan and Ben and Sam and Ryan, they really nailed it.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, it's incredible. I didn't hear you talk about effects in the keynote. Can you give us a little, like, explain to us or just share to us like what we can expect for effects?
So here's the trick with effects. So like the notion of Stadium having, all right, here's another 40 new effects that you don't get in HX
Yeah.
doesn't really make sense
No,
because
that's true.
HX should have those effects as well,
Yeah.
right? So no, there aren't any new effects in 1.0 for Helix Stadium. There clearly will be more effects, and the goal is, the plan is that those effects, if appropriate, and if they're not completely insane DSP-wise, those would also end up in existing Helix and HX products as well. So. I mean, yeah. There's no reason. So if you think about it, we're building the effects library not to somehow sunset Helix. That's never been the plan. But we've been building this effects library so we have a platform to build off of.
That
with
answered another
Stadium.
question. So perfect.
Yeah. Oh,
Two questions in one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the question about whether Helix will continue to be supported.
Yeah,
in the
yeah. So,
future. Yeah.
so I mean, I'll be honest. Helix and HX can't run Agoura amps. They're burly.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it won't happen. We still want to add additional effects, capabilities, quality of life improvements, things like that. We can't add a touch screen to Helix, so some like focus view doesn't apply at that point. But yeah, we're not done. I mean, we're keeping it in the market, lower prices, and this really just became a platform above it.
Yeah.
I'll say though, on the effects, call it what you will, being hyped up about trying the thing. I don't know, that dynamic hall sounded way better coming out of the stadium than I remember it.
We just heard it.
Yeah.
So there is more headroom and better A to D converters. All the ins now have that crazy dynamic range stuff, even the effects returns and the mic ins. So ideally, we're hoping that if somebody loads a Helix preset, it should sound like, oh wow, that actually sounds like my Helix preset, just 4K-ish.
So we've been asking about all the things that I think a lot of people have said, I wish this had this capture or a touchscreen. You guys hit us with something that I don't think anyone saw coming at all, which is like the showcase, the playback system, tracks, Nexus, which is a way to connect it to all kinds of stuff. Is Nexus something that is it similar to like Ethernet or Cat5 where you can send
or Dante?
Or Dante, I guess. I guess one question I had, is it open to third-party manufacturers? Can other companies make
Perhaps we haven't really talked about
it?
We haven't talked about that. We're certainly open to something like that. But really, we needed to replace older connectivity protocols, and we wanted to condense them into one thing that wasn't as complicated, that was actually affordable, that we could scale both up and down. So right now, VDI and L6 Link are only on our flagships on Helix. So you could imagine that if we're able to somehow get Nexus onto more affordable products, that means that now Variax works with more affordable products. That means that we can, PowerCam Plus now suddenly works with more affordable products. You don't have to do the massive flagship here and the massive flagship here. You can kind of mix and match how you see fit. But the most exciting thing about it is that because it's multi-channel ins, multi-channel outs. I can't talk about how many channels because we haven't finalized it, because Expand D10 is 10 channels. The 8 channels optical plus stereo for VDI and L6 Link. But it's both in and out, and it's bidirectional communication, and it's daisy chainable power.
Oh wow!
So it's really just sort of a hardware kind of springboard for, hey, what kind of things do people want to connect? How do they want to control Helix Stadium from a wide stage? How do they want to hear Helix Stadium from across stage or in a multi-room studio, things like that? We don't know. And so what's great is people will tell us, hey, could you do a Nexus thing that does this and this and this? And we're like, yeah, we could do that. Or, oh, you're crazy. No, of course it doesn't do that.
This is not just a guitar noise-making device.
No, we call it a performance workstation.
Yeah. So a church, for in our situation, like churches, right? They could use Stadium as like a multi-track playback device with clicks and cues and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, or if
which has usually been relegated to the keyboard player on an Ableton rig. But
all that stuff's MIDI controllable, so the keyboard still could control it, and their drum trigger inputs, so the drummer could control it. So it could be. It's meant to be. So remember how we talked about how Helix was meant to be the centerpiece of your guitar rig. That's why we put all the 4 effects loops in it and all of that stuff, and all of the command center sort of stuff. And then with this, we're like, let's make it the centerpiece of the entire stage. What does that mean? How can it make live performance more engaging? How can it make it easier? How do you remove all of the setup and the anxiety people have of trying to incorporate technology into their shows? And it's stuff that I've personally been thinking about for 25 years. This is back in my retail days when people would come in and say, hey, I want to pull off this and this and this. I just saw Tool or Korn or Linkin Park or something like that. That's dating me. Holy crap. But and they'd be like, hey, can I do this? And the answer was, well, yeah. Get a DM5 MIDI converter and get this Akai sampler, and then you can do the 808s. And I'm like, nope, too complicated. So, how do we let solo acts or smaller bands? How do we allow them to put on these big, engaging shows? And it's kind of heady and weird to talk about, but it's really just about the tools. So if you have the tool set to do this and you make it easy and approachable, and it doesn't require laptops that crash, talk to anybody who's run backing tracks, everybody's experienced a crash.
Yeah. You don't want to receive a phone call in the middle.
Yeah,
of
tripping
your,
over
in the middle of your worship
like
service.
your laptop power supply, things like that, and
Having
DI
dedicated
boxes
device.
and MIDI interfaces and audio interfaces, and
We've been there.
yeah. So it's not Ableton Live, you know.
Yeah.
It's not even main stage, but if you need some tracks just to jam, or if you need segues between songs or intros or outros, or hey, I want just the backing vocals to come in at this little section. I just want to hit a switch, and there they come in, and I need it to, switch my looper, so I don't have to. I want to make sure my looper hits at the right spot. I don't accidentally hit the wrong switch. Little things like that collectively.
Now it sounded like you could press play on your song, and it would then you could trigger your snapshots for different sections.
So
it can run your rig for you.
So snapshots is interesting. So this is something we learned from our customers, and this is how I actually initially pitched Showcase years ago, and that was when snapshots first came out. People would be like, "Oh, here's snapshot 1, 2, 3, and 4," and then people started relabeling. They'd say, "Okay, well, here's my clean, crunch, lead, whatever." Right. And then we noticed organically people started saying, "Well, no, here's my verse, here's my chorus, here's my solo, here's my solo, here's my outro." And then when we added the ability to assign stomp or command center messages per snapshot.
Yes.
So now you have a single switch that can then actually sequentially switch between your verse, your chorus, your solo, and whatever from a single switch. So they were sequencing their snapshots already. And we're like, well, wait a second, let's just take that exact experience and then map it over a timeline. And then take all of the commands you have in the command center already, so all your MIDI stuff, all the looper commands where you can map looper switches however you want, and let's make it so people can do that automatically, so you don't have to think about it at all. And then that frees up your stomps. So even though we have twice as many stomps, you don't need as many because Showcase can do a lot of the hard work for you.
Yeah. Did I see you in the keynote say that you can bring like an MP3, a full mix of a song, and it will split it into parts?
Eventually, yes. So
that's awesome.
So
stem split.
So Yamaha already has this technology. So it's only available in Japan, but they have this really cool stem splitting software that allows. It's cloud-based, so it is cloud-based. So, but the idea is that you drag your favorite song in via the editor, because that's how you get tracks into Stadium. So when the editor's all done, it'll ask you, hey, do you want to stem split this? And if yes, it sends it to the cloud, just like all the other stem splitting services that are out there, and then it downloads it. Or you can use your favorite, you can use Logic. Logic just updated their stem splitting, and then there's
now they split guitars,
Moisa's stuff is awesome as well. So you don't have to use our stuff. You can just, because you can load your 8 tracks in however you want to. So but if you don't have access to that, or you just want something simple, you can use Yamaha's.
And getting stuff into it, is there does it have Bluetooth?
It does have Wi-Fi. In fact, the editor, so this we didn't talk about this, so the editor is only via Wi-Fi to start, so we're adding USB later, which is weird. But,
that's crazy.
But yeah, so...
can you stream from a phone to the
stadium? So there's Bluetooth audio in here, and then there's even a channel for Bluetooth audio, so I can mute the Bluetooth or whatever,
So if I'm prepping for Sunday, currently I've got my Helix, it's connected to my computer, I've got the computer up, I'm pulling all the songs on Spotify. But now I can just put it on my phone and just play along. So much easier.
Absolutely.
And then get a recording and split it out and pull the guitars out, and now I'm playing with the band.
And that's what you were saying. That's what you were saying. It was. That's gonna feel really good.
Showcase is amazing, but for live application, I think it would be awesome. But just for personal use at home, now you're playing with the band. That's cool.
And we all know that one person who has way too much money and way too much time, and they just fill their den full of lights, and amps and pedals and whatever. And
I feel seen right now.
It's a business expense, Brian. It's for the channel.
But there's a lot of satisfaction. There's a lot of satisfaction. I just want to I want to play, and it's like, oh, cool. Guess what? The solo part came in, and I didn't have to do anything, and the lights changed, and we harp on nobody's going to be connecting. I mean, some people will trigger lights, but it's really just to sort of illustrate what's possible with Showcase.
Yeah, that's amazing.
This is cool. It's it's now you almost basically don't need a computer. The computer's in there.
So it's not Ableton Live.
Right.
So it's not it's not crazy. I mean, there's no crazy time stretching or anything like that. On purpose, we tried to keep it simple.
Yeah.
It will not be a DAW. The last thing we want is people's like, hey, why don't you have this really esoteric DAW feature? It's like, well, because it's not a DAW.
Yeah.
It is meant to augment your live performance. We don't want to replace musicians. We want to make the ability to perform easier.
Yeah.
And we want people to create more engaging shows. And you can do that if you have cool intros and segues. And, you know, if the bass player doesn't show up Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Oh, crap, what's his face didn't show up. All right, well, unmute, done, problem solved.
There you go.
That's awesome.
So we want to solve problems. We want to make people's lives easier. We want them to play more and have more fun doing it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned this, and this is, you said NAMM is not out of the question, I guess, or like it just, that's like implementing other capture tech is something that could very well be possible.
I think NAM is great. I think it's the fact how fast it's been adopted. Steve Atkinson, met him at the NAMM show. Super nice dude. Have you guys met him yet?
Oh yeah, we've met
He's
him.
awesome, and we've had phone conversations and talking about how we might be able to work together in the future. Steve, hi. What's up, buddy? I don't know. We have so much stuff on our plate.
Sure.
It's certainly not out of the realm of possibility. It really depends on where it lands, and it depends on kind of where proxy lands too, honestly.
Yeah, sure.
We wanted to do proxy because there were things that NAMM doesn't and probably shouldn't do, because it's really sort of Helix centric, and it would be ridiculous for them to try to, try to go down the avenues that we're trying to go down with similar technology.
And proxy is the capture engine.
Yes. Yeah.
I love thinking about
that's next
I
year.
love trying to read
that's
between
next
the
year
lines.
though,
What
so
is the-
people
okay.
shouldn't expect to see proxy on day
2026.
one. Yeah, 2026. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's cool to know. Like, I feel like if you're saying that like it's not completely out of the question, it's cool to know that unit probably could do it, and so that's exciting.
This can totally run NAMM.
So lots and lots. So we'll have more content.
Not nearly as much as we wanted to.
Oh, that means
Like
just
Eric, you can't talk about that.
that
It's
means
like,
the future will be awesome.
Well,
That's all
there's
that means.
still a lot, just what we heard. So
Yeah.
we're very excited, and we just are very grateful for your friendship and your time, and very excited for you and your team. Make sure you subscribe and follow Line 6 for more updates as well.
Bell.
Ding that bell.
That's right.
Subscribe and be notified.
Go watch Eric do his presentation.
Don't. It's
It
too
was
long.
It was actually really good.
This is
Good.
way more succinct. We covered all the important stuff here. Anyway, so.
Eric, thank you, and again, congratulations.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Always a pleasure.
Yes,
Thanks,
likewise.
sir. Thank you, sir.
All on this side of the table.
So we want to do a bit of a recap. You've sort of seen some clips from the keynote, seen our interview with Eric. I want to give you our thoughts on Stadium XL and Stadium.
Yeah.
And we've heard it. We got to play it.
Yeah.
We got to interact with the unit, touchscreen, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So pretty much everything anyone's asked for on the internet, they've delivered.
Except maybe there's some I saw somebody saying they wanted, unless there's wireless from guitar to unit and then unit to front of house and then all this. I was like,
yes.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, but that's a little specific.
Capture tech,
Capture tech.
touchscreen,
Yep.
more DSP.
Yep.
That's pretty much all the things. A smaller unit. That was.
It
big
is smaller.
thing. It's smaller.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
and-
showed a graphic,
That's right.
and it showed Helix, then it showed Stadium XL, then Stadium.
And it weighs less. People have asked that, so
Yeah.
that happened. So I mean, those other features people have asked for. I know that the inclination would be that because it's new and we got to play it in Yamaha in
Yeah.
Line 6, it's like well, yeah, of course you guys think it sounds better.
Yeah.
But there's the way the unit had to be designed, the converters and stuff I don't understand. But like all the pre's in it, the things that make the audio happen. It's naturally going to make things sound better regardless. It's an incredible sounding unit. It feels really good. And
Let's talk about the touchscreen.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we got to interact with it.
yeah, it's kind of silly to talking about guitar gear and we're talking about
Yeah.
touchscreens. But
It's so good.
yeah,
I'm gonna say Quad Cortex. It's better than the Quad Cortex.
I think
touchscreen.
and by better,
It feels
we
like you're
mean-
on a phone.
Yeah,
like
by
an iPhone.
by better, it's more immediate and it's
It was
you can
super
drag stuff
responsive.
easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the capture tech side, they mentioned, they said Eric said it's not coming till 2026. So it's probably won't be there at launch. Or it's not going to be there at launch.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting, like if you've done captures before, it depends on the unit, but like you do the capture and then the unit either the unit does its thing where it analyzes the cat and makes the model, or in Tonex it does it on your computer, but it takes forever, especially if you do high quality.
Yeah.
This is cloud based, so faster. That's really cool. I don't know if anyone else. I don't know how NAMM does it.
Yeah, that's
but-
the one thing. And just side note, if you're watching this video and you don't care about the Helix, but you just want to, we are going to dabble with NAMM and see what could happen. So
we're going to start doing some NAMM stuff.
that's coming.
Yeah.
But that's another conversation.
So I think the capture tech sounds really promising.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to check it out.
Yeah.
And the Agoura amp modeling sounds very promising too. I mean, we heard it
Yeah.
on 3 amps. We heard the Deluxe Reverb, AC30, and then the 2203. We were in there with Doug Doppler. He was ripping, man. He did the JCM 800, and then we heard the red channel of the Bogner Ecstasy.
Oh, I left. For that.
You were, oh yeah,
That's
Doug and
okay.
I played it real quick.
I trust it sounds amazing.
They actually had it set up so that they had a Helix and a Helix Stadium, an OG Helix and a Stadium, and they had them dialed in similarly, and you could switch between the two. But then in Stadium, they had the Agoura model and then the HX model, and you were able to swap.
Yes.
And they were dialed in similarly, and in every case, the Agoura model sounded significantly better.
Yeah.
Not that Helix didn't sound good. I mean,
Well, yeah.
we all know what Helix
Just
sounds
because
like.
Agoura is better doesn't mean OG Helix is worse.
Yes.
So, but even still, when we heard the same amp model, whatever you want to call the operating system, whatever,
Yeah.
the same model of the Deluxe Reverb on Stadium and on the OG,
Yeah.
there was just a little bit extra goodness to it.
Yeah.
And we weren't going through there using our stuff, so that's something that's hard. Like, you can't really.
It's not in your environment.
Yeah, and you're not in your environment. You're not with your guitar.
Yeah.
But still, it was cool to see that there's something extra on the Legacy or the Deluxe Reverb on Stadium that was
Yeah.
better than the OG. And then when you turn the Agoura on, it's like just a little bit more clear, just a little bit more better.
Yeah, you didn't hear it, but Doug was playing the Ecstasy, and a lot of times what people ask is what happens when you roll the volume down on your guitar. So the red channel of the Ecstasy is high gain,
Yeah.
and he pulled the volume back on the guitar he was playing, and it was really beautifully clean and dynamic. And he immediately said, I'd love for Doug to come over here, I don't know where he is. He immediately said, like, the HX models don't really do this. And then Sam was in there with us, he's like, well, let's find out. He swapped it. And it cleaned up, but not in the same way.
Not as
It wasn't as like, you could hear like more dynamics in the Agoura model versus the HX model.
Yeah.
So Doug, you and Bradford and I played Stadium together.
We stadiumed.
We stadiums. We were not allowed to film in there.
Not allowed.
What did you think? By the way, this is Doug Doppler.
Hi.
Go follow Doug on all the things.
And
YouTube, everywhere
yeah.
else. Well, what were your thoughts on Stadium playing?
So the great thing is because pretty much anybody that's going to be watching this, like myself, is a Helix fanatic. And so the thing is that one of the things that my big takeaway was for those of us that are amp fanatics, right? Like you've
I'm
got the
one of them.
JH100, right?
Yeah.
One of the things is when you roll off on the volume control, it's one of the things in the modeling universe that hasn't always translated that really amp-like behavior. So I was like, of all the things that
you were
sounded
playing
amazing,
the Ecstasy.
I was playing the Ecstasy,
red channel.
the
You
red
rolled
channel,
it
and it's like
back.
rolled off, and I'm like, there's the amp thing. And we A/B back and forth between good old Helix, which does a good job of it, but this is one of the
This did
things
a
that
better job.
amp fanatics really look for is that amp-like behavior. And I was like, okay, this is great. And it sounds and feels great. And you guys
does.
sounded great playing it too. Of
Thank
course.
you, Doug.
Thank you.
I mean, it's hard to play a guitar right after Doug plays a guitar. I mean, it's
That's
just
because
like,
there was all the sweat and then the stuff that was all over it.
I'm gonna put the guitar down because there's no way you can compare to that.
Please.
When these units get into many people's hands, we're going to hear more. But all this to say, we really are super excited about the Agoura modeling. Like, it sounds really good.
Yeah, and just we may have mentioned this, but as a point of note, like we weren't able to do any capturing of audio or video or
No,
anything while we
yeah,
were
they
playing
didn't
it.
let us.
So, but they were like, you can totally talk about it.
Yeah.
So we can't do that. The other thing that I think is kind of, some people may see this and be like, who needs most of that stuff?
Right.
And that's a fair question. But the thing that, and again, I feel like all we're gonna do is sound like fanboys here. But if you look, there's a graphic that's been floating around for a few years. there's a Helix and all the colors and the way it's laid out and the way it's done, and then you see all these other units that have come out since so we're 10 years ago, so 2015, since 2015, and how there's elements that like, oh, you can't deny that like they took inspiration from Helix. So regardless of what you think about Helix, it set a precedent. It was
influential.
For all in one unit.
Yeah.
And so now here's Line 6 again doing the same thing, setting a precedent.
Yeah.
And we're still not able to really fully grasp how everything works. Like we understand what things are, but I think the hard part for me is like, okay, how does this all work together? And so that's something I'll be excited to see, because it seems like you run tracks on it.
Oh, the showcase.
Showcase side of things. But then like, is Stadium almost like your PA in a way? Like you can run people into there. You can run like, because there's different channels of audio outside of just showcase as well.
Yeah.
So there's so much to unpack.
Yeah.
But I think what we're seeing, this is the future of musicians. Sure, professional, massive touring musicians. Like we just met Christina Aguilera's guitarist.
Yeah,
and he uses a Helix. Like that's he could use whatever he wants and have a handful of people control his rig, hold on to his rig, load his rig, set up his rig, but he uses Helix.
Yeah.
So there are professionals using it, but this tool really is inspiring for someone who's not, churches, first off, who don't have a lot of budget, this can take care of a handful of things, or a lot of people. And then also for artists, bands, as Eric said this too, who just like, they want to elevate their show and like do something extra, and all this can be programmed and you control it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, a lot of people assumed like things like the touchscreen, the capture tech, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone saw the showcase thing coming.
No.
Like and I don't think that, to your point, I don't think people are understanding just how much it can do.
Yeah, because we're barely
Line
getting
6,
we're barely getting our heads around it.
with the Nexus thing and the connectivity and how you can, it's modular, that kind of stuff. It's pretty fun to think about. But even like if you think, I don't want to use that stuff, like you can put a MP3 in there, split it, strip out the guitar, play along with the band without the guitar from the original recording, and like that's pretty fun. And I think be able to do that just on your own as a guitar player.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I thought you were done, but you were keep adding taglines. I think what's cool about this too is it sounds like, and I didn't ask this, so I'm just really, it sounds like this unit is going to be way more capable of being adjusted to users. Because Eric, the way he had mentioned a couple things, I'm just reading between the lines, it sounds like maybe we're at a point now where the unit can be more of a computer than we used to call them like delay computers and whatnot, but it's almost like there's an opportunity for users to have even more say and input as to what goes into it, because this thing was created from them listening to what everybody loves about Helix, what they didn't love, what they wanted more of, what they wanted less of. So it's really exciting to see because Jonathan, our buddy at Tone Junkie, he always says this to us: rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
So we see Helix yet again, Line 6 yet again, pave the way.
Yeah.
See what other units do.
Yeah.
But it sounds like if another unit has something, it doesn't seem so far-fetched to think that Line 6 could also implement something.
Yeah.
Because this unit seems way more flexible for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all speculation. It's fluid. It's fluid.
Yeah.
But this couch is hurting my back, Brian.
Yeah, we're done. If you have questions about Stadium, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Maybe,
things
that Eric could even speak into.
You were talking to Jason Sedaites. Go subscribe to Jason, by the way.
Of course, yeah.
But I was talking to Eric, and he said, hey, once we get some things figured out, he's like, if you got more questions, we can do a call. We can chat. We can do more.
Do a podcast type.
Yeah, and there's some things that they're just they can't talk about quite yet. So maybe when things come to light, Eric, let us know.
Yeah.
We can talk about things. So
tell us your thoughts about Stadium in the comments. Any questions you might have for us or for like the people who make it here at Line 6.
Yeah.
We can ask them.
Yes.
Subscribe to the channel.
Please.
We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.